on the marketing staff here at American Independent Marketing. We're really pleased to bring this presentation to you today. We hope you will find it enjoyable as well. We're very happy that Mutual of Omaha has finally launched their electronic app for their long-term care offering. It is available in all states except New York and Montana at this point in time. So the majority of the states are covered by this electronic app. Easy to access, easy to use, and a very fast process. So we've already shown you a couple of easy buttons working with us and Mutual of Omaha. The first being the actual quote software that we developed here that you can download easily onto your desktop and keep that with you regardless of where you are. But now we're really pleased to show you how the electronic app works for the long-term care product with Mutual, the custom and the secure. But there's a couple of steps you need to go through initially in order to access the electronic app. The first is, if you haven't already done so, you will need to set up a login ID, and password to Mutual of Omaha's website, and I'm going to show you how that's accomplished here in just a second. You will need to go to Mutual of Omaha's website, which is a simple www.mutualofomaha.com. And the screen you're seeing right now is the welcome page to Mutual of Omaha's website. Where you will need to go as an advisor or an agent is this quadrant, this section of the home page right here, and change it from individual customers to sales professionals. And if you have not ever set up a login ID and password to Mutual's website, you will need to register. And you simply click on that link. It will take you to the agreements page where you have to promise to I do, I will, I agree, and that's going to prompt you for your registration key. That registration key is your Mutual of Omaha writing number. If you don't have a writing number yet, please contact us and we'd be happy to send you the contracting paperwork in order to get appointed and have a writing number. But once you have established a login ID, you'll need to log in, very simple process. And it will take you to a section of their website called Sales Professional Access. Once in this initial page, you will go up to the top toolbar and select Sales Tools. And scroll down at the bottom, and you should see now that when you log in, you'll have access to the actual e-app itself, and then the e-app sandbox. And this is a place where you can play around, get the feel for how the application works and flows. You can't break anything at this point in time because you're not playing it with a real you're playing with a real application, but in a sandbox. And you'll also find over here links to some resources that you can take advantage of. There's a quick start guide that's available. That's kind of a cheat sheet for how you go about completing an application, making sure you answer all the questions, how you proceed to go through with the electronic signatures, and then submit the application to the back office. And if you're working with American Independent Marketing, the back office means it comes to us. We give it a cursory review and then submit it to the home office for you. Usually the same day that you submit the app to us, it's submitted. Or if you're working with Golden Care USA, the same thing will happen there as well. So once you've found out how to get here, and again, it's from the login screen where you establish a login. It takes you to Sales Professional Access. You click on Sales Tools, scroll down the bottom, and there's the e-app, and then the sandbox. Now I'm going to actually go into a test environment. And I've actually started an application here this morning, keyed all the data in, completed the application, but I have not done signatures yet, so I'm going to walk you through what the application looks like. If you have written the Mutual of Omaha product in the past on hard copy application or have used the fillable PDF, which is available by downloading an application from our website or from Mutual of Omaha's website, the flow of the electronic app is exactly the same. There's a couple of neat things that they've done that I'll show you that makes it even more simpler to use when you're working with a client. So where this works well is if you are face-to-face with a client and you have internet access, you can access the electronic app right from a person's home, or if they happen to be in your office, you can do it from your office as well. Or if you're doing a remote sale and you're using some technology like Join Me and you're doing a screen share, Also an excellent opportunity to use the electronic app to submit an application. If you are just on the phone with somebody and completing an electronic app, that is perfectly fine. Just when you get to the signature portion, you'll be able to do the electronic signatures for yourself as the agent, but then you will need to actually print the application off and send the complete application to your client to put a wet signature, and if that's the way you're going to do business, then you actually submit the application as if you were submitting a hard copy application. So what I've done is I've selected this application I started this morning for a gentleman named Steve Smart. And I'm going to walk you through a few of the pages that I completed and give you an idea of how the flow of the application works. You can actually pre-populate an application, so if you have an upcoming appointment that you feel pretty confident that you'll be enrolling this person with Mutual of Omaha on your next appointment, you can go and pre-populate a lot of the screens, like the personal information, all of your information. And then when you do have your session with your client, that stuff is already taken care of, and then you can just focus on getting the nitty-gritty answers to their financials and their health. You may have already built out a policy that they've agreed to take advantage of and purchase, so you can have the benefit selections pages already completed, or you can then modify those while your client is on the session with you or sitting beside you in your office doing the application. The system will automatically store an application for at a minimum 30 days before it's kind of removed from the system. So you can populate an application for an appointment you have a week or two down the road and then just go back just like I did. When you go to the e-app, you'll have an option to either to start a new application or to view your existing applications, and then you just merely select that application you began, and then you can go on to complete it. The nice thing about the electronic app is it only presents to you information based upon how you are answering the questions. So for example, I'm doing a single applicant here. If I were doing two people and I hit dual application, it would bring up the blanks for applicant B. But if I'm only doing a single person, it's only going to show applicant A, so you don't have all this extra stuff hanging around bothering you as you go through the application. In this particular case, I did go ahead and complete all the details on the personal worksheet. But you do have the option not to disclose your information right here, where you can say, I choose not to complete this information. So none of these questions down here will be presented to you at all. So it's kind of nice that way. And I'll give you some other examples as we go through the application of where that takes place. Now you can either go through the application page by hitting the next button, or you can go to the table of contents. And the table of contents is broken down by each section of the application. So if you wanted to skip over the general information because you've already completed that, you could, and go right to allowances, where you plug in allowances if you're working with a married couple or a member of an existing approved association with Mutual of Omaha, or you can go right into the health insurability questions. But I'm going to touch each of these for you just so you can get a feel for how the application presents itself to you. So the general information page is where you basically submit all the personal information about the applicant: their name, their address, their phone number, email address if applicable, convenient time to call for the phone interview, or to call to set up an appointment to come out to do a face-to-face depending upon your age of your client's social security number, their date of birth, their sex or gender, what they do for a living, and what their occupational duties are based upon their occupation. And then you have the citizenship question as well. Oops, back here. So that's all there is to the personal information page. Allowances is where you would select if you were working with one person but they were married, then you would say yes, and it brings up 2 additional questions you have to answer. If you're working with a pure single person, you say no, then those questions are hidden. So again, the application only presents to you what you need to provide information on. Section D of the application is just like it is in the paper app. These are the initial health questions that are presented, where if there are any yes answers here, you cannot move on to continue with the application process. These are the heavy-duty knockout questions. Now, the e-app itself is not intelligent, so you could put a yes on this page, and if I did put a yes, for example, on question 3, have I been confined to assisted living or adult daycare and nursing home? And if I did say yes, it will bring up a warning in bold that the company will be unable to accept this application and do not continue, but this application will allow you to keep going right through it and applying even though you've marked yes to an answer. So it's not intelligent, but it's pretty robust. The only question on this page that you may want to pay attention to is at the very bottom. The last question in this section has to do with if you're on disability income of any type. There is one type of disability income that Mutual of Omaha will accept, and it is the VA disability if you have a retired military and they are receiving some VA disability benefits. So truthfully, you should answer that question yes. Mutual will accept up to a 50% disability income for VA. If you do answer yes to that question because they are on VA disability, we do recommend that you attach some type of explanation that they are on VA disability in the type of VA disability they're on, actually, because everyone who's on that type of a disability knows why they qualify for it and what made up that percent, up to the 50% that's allowed with Mutual of Omaha. The next section is where you provide information about your primary care, your date of your last visit, why did you go on that last visit, and when did you have your last complete physical with blood work. This is key with Mutual, because if you are 65 years old or older, you have to have had a physical with blood work within the last 24 months to apply. But if you're under age 65, the company wants to know if you've been to a physician sometime in the last 24 months, just for any reason, whether it be for a sniffle or a cut or any reason, because usually at those types of appointments, there is an assessment that's done by the doctor when you first arrive, and so that tells the company that they have some chart notes of recent history on you visiting a doctor. If you happen to be working with a client who's on medications and you answer this question yes, it will then present to you the next section of the application, section F, which is where you complete the information about the medication you're on. The name, the dosage, how often you take it, how long have you been on it, why do you take it, in other words, the medical condition you're using to cover while you're taking that medication. And if it's prescribed by your primary care physician, that's great. You don't have to provide that doctor information again. But if you are seeing a specialist for whatever reason, and you mark this question no, it's going to bring up a box for you to complete that information about that other physician. And if you're on more than one medication, you just check this box, and it'll bring up another window, and it will keep bringing up that box for as many medications as you wish. I think you can type up to 10 medications on the application itself. But I'm going to change this back to no. There are additional health questions to be asked as well. These are the ones where they're all yes, no's, but yeses are potentially allowable. These are not necessarily a knockout questions. I, for the purpose of the demonstration today, have answered all these questions no. But if you do happen, and I'll get down here near the bottom, for example, have you been received inpatient or outpatient treatment in a hospital in the last 12 months? If I change that to a yes, it's going to bring up another window for the next section that's going to prompt you to type in the question you actually answered yes to, and then fill out the data around what caused you to answer that question yes. So again, if you're answering no, it's not going to bring up all those additional windows for say, or blanks to complete, or blanks to skip over as you're going through the application process. It's one of the neatest parts of the application, I think, is there, because it makes it go and flow a lot smoother. So you finish all the health questions, and now you want to get to the point where you're selecting a policy you want to purchase. So what it does, in the hard copy app or the fillable PDF app, there are two benefit selection sections to the app. One is for the secure, excuse me, and the other is for the custom. Well, just by making the selection of the secure or the custom at the top of this page, it's only going to present to you the blanks that need to be completed to build out the policy based upon the policy you're selling your client. So I've selected the custom. I filled in a monthly benefit. I filled in the policy limit. I'm rejecting the 5% compound option. So I'm going to be applying for a 3% compound lifetime. I've rejected the non-forfeiture. You can leave things blank. For example, I'm leaving the assisted living and the home health care to be equal to the nursing home. I'm going with the default 90-day elimination. There's no need to select anything unless you're selecting other than a 90-day elimination. I did buy the rider that waives the elimination period for home health care, and everything else is left blank. So you have once you've completed the benefit selections, you'll be taken to a page where you complete information about the premium. You'll be asked if you want to have conditional insurance coverage, and what that means is if you say yes, and you want to have coverage, say from the date of application, you have to collect premium with the application. If you elect not to have conditional insurance, that means you're doing business basically like cash on delivery. The effective date of the policy is always going to be the date the policy is issued. So just keep that in mind. If you are collecting premium and you're outside of California, the company would love for you to collect 2 months. You'll be prompted to that right on the application. In California, you can only collect 1 month's premium. And then you can select any mode you wish. So if you collect, say, 1 month's worth of premium and you're going to be selecting a quarterly mode, then you'll just have a bill that comes with the policy asking you to collect some premium, the balance due upon delivery of the policy itself. So you get to the agreements and acknowledgments. You'll notice there's not a lot of text on these pages. It's just basically presenting to you what information you need to submit on the application itself. All the documentation, all the words that go around these agreements and acknowledgments will be presented to you at the very end when you're going through the application and viewing it or saving a copy of it or actually submitting the application itself. But on the agreements and acknowledgments page, I wanted to point out one important little checkbox. It's pretty obscure, but right below where you type in the city and state where you take the application, there's a box you can check, which basically is it's a special HIPAA form just for you as the agent. That way you can have a very open and candid conversation with the underwriter. Say they've been rated up from preferred to select or select to class 1, or they've been declined. It allows you to chat with the underwriter about all the details that went into why they made the decision they did. So you're fully informed to have an intelligent conversation with your client because they authorize you to be provided this information by the underwriter. So it finishes up with the HIPAA and the producer statement. Some producers, when you get to this page, is where you verify that you answer all the questions as they were written. Did you meet face-to-face? No. You did it during a phone interview. Is the coverage on your cell? What rate class did you use and you quoted? The commission code is already pre-filled in here. In fact, at the beginning of the application, I'll show you when you go back up there again, you'll be prompted to type in the proper commission code. Some agents are reluctant to type in their Social Security number here and have the applicant see that Social Security number. If you do share that concern, you can type in all ones if you want. And after you've gone through the signature process, it will give you one more chance to edit, and the only place you can edit is this particular page where you can set your Social Security number back to what it should be. So I've now completed the application, and I want to go through the signature process. Well, you just can't go to signatures until you've done a couple of extra steps. Let's see. So I've hit the button labeled sign for the applicant to sign, and it brings up this little window where it wants you to present to the applicant all the leave behind materials. You've got two things here you have to view. One is the important documents, and the other is the electronic signature consent document. So you have to at least at a minimum open these up. Now the first one is a rather large PDF file. It's 147 pages long, but it does contain all the printed material that's in the hard copy app after the page marked where it says everything beyond this page is leave behind material for the applicant. So it has the outline of coverage, the things you should know. On top of that, it has the NAIC Shopper's Guide. It also has the Guide to Medicare. So it's all there. And once you have opened it, you can, it's mainly just a PDF. You can save it to your desktop, maybe put a client name on that, label the PDF by your client's last name. You can email this PDF to your client at that point in time. But you just have to show Mutual of Omaha that you've opened this document that has all the leave behind materials. So we've taken care of that requirement, so I'm going to close out of there. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to open up the electronic signature consent form. And it's, again, just another document that you have to demonstrate that you opened it and showed it to your client. They've read it. And then you can go back and work on completing your signatures. So you check the box, I agree to consent to the use of the electronic signatures, and I agree to sign my application for insurance. So once you start this process of signing, you cannot edit the application at all. So you may want to go through the application one more time to make sure that it's correct, at least as far as you know it's correct and accurate, because once you've done the signature process, it's done. You cannot touch a page in the application at that point. So just keep that in mind. So what this is going to do is actually going to present you the actual application. So here's all the words that are around the personal worksheet as an example. And it's brought all the input, and now it's outputted right onto the application itself. The nice thing about the signature, a couple of nice things about the signature process with Mutual is that all you have to do is click on Next Signature, and it takes you to the page where the next signature is then required. It will be highlighted in yellow, and you merely click on the sign button, and it's going to affix what they call a digital signature. So this is digitally signed by Steve Smart. It gives the date, the time, and the IP address of where the signature came from. And it's perfectly fine if you're using a screen sharing session with someone to have the IP address for the applicant and the IP address for the agent to be the same. So once you've done that signature, you click on Next Signature. It takes you to the next page where it happens to be where I have to sign that I'm not buying the 5% compound inflation rider, so I have to sign that I'm rejecting it. Again, a digital signature is affixed. And now it takes me right to the Agreements and Acknowledgements page. Again, this is the applicant signing, not you. This is the HIPAA form, the standard HIPAA form, not the agent HIPAA form, but the standard HIPAA form for Mutual of Omaha to be able to order medical records on the client's behalf. This is a little bit different looking here. It's actually a digital signature for Steve Smart. And what Mutual has found is that the majority of facilities who will accept the boilerplate HIPAA form will accept this signature because it does have it out in script, and it does show the date and the time that it was signed itself. If medical records are coming from a clinic that has a special authorization, those forms are separate, and they will be sent to you by the case manager. This is the temporary insurance agreement. And then the last form is the agent HIPAA form. This is the miracle form that allows you to have that great conversation with an underwriter to find out what's going on with your case, whether when it becomes rated up, rated down, or whatever reason. And then you're finished. So you're finished with the applicant signatures. So now it's time for you as the agent to go through and sign. Again, same procedure. Just click on next signature and it's going to take you to the box where the next signature is required. So you actually sign on the personal worksheet. It will come through showing digitally signed by your name. Will show up there. Takes you right to the agreements and acknowledgments page. The temporary insurance agreement. I think the next page would be the producer page. Yep, the producer statement. And then you're done. So at this point in time, you could say goodbye to your client, and you can tell them, yes, I'll get you a copy of the application. I'd be happy to email it to you. This is your last chance to edit. This is where you can go back and edit just the producer statement, or if you want to change your Social Security number back to your real Social Security number as opposed to having a dummy one put in there. But that's the only thing that you can do from an edit perspective once the application is completely signed. So if you want to actually see the application in its completed format, you hit the View button. It takes a second to generate it, but it will just basically bring up your application. And you can save it, you can print it, you can save it to a PDF, you can email it to your client. It shows all the signatures that are on there, applicant signature, your signature. So you have an archive of this application going in. And once you feel like you're all good to go, you'll see a button here labeled Submit to Back Office. You merely click on that button and it's submitted to us. We do a cursory review and you're off. So I want to go back to starting an application real quickly again. When you start a brand new application, the first decision or the first thing you have to tell the company is what state you're writing this in, and it's always driven by the state where your client lives, not where the application is taken. In the commission code, when you hit this drop-down menu, for the most part, it should just present you with maybe just one commission code or maybe two, depending upon if you're writing in an American Independent Marketing state or in a Golden Care USA state. And for the most part, if they're all just 2 letters long. If it ends in Z, it's going to be an American Independent Marketing state. If it ends in Q, it's going to be a Golden Care USA state. If you have any questions on that, feel free to give either us here at AIM a call or the folks at Golden Care, depending upon where you're writing, and to verify what state that you are writing in. So that's for starting a new application. Again, when you're in your own e-app on your login through the mutual site, you can click on your applications. It'll bring up a list. It'll show you the status. Like, for example, now Steve Smart is showing as being signed, but it has not been submitted yet. It'll show if you have missed answers by saying it's incomplete or complete, ready to be signed, in review, or even, this one doesn't show any submitted, but they actually would show submitted if you've actually hit the Submit to Back Office. So that's a brief overview of the e-app. We're pretty darn excited it's finally here. We're a little bit late to the table, but I think this one is pretty darn robust. If you have any questions at all as you move forward, please do not hesitate to give us here at American Independent Marketing a call. Our phone number is 800-672-7202, or the phone number for Golden Care USA is 800-842-7799. We hope everybody has a great day. Thanks again for taking the time to join us.